राधा श्री रघुविंद देवो प्रेक्षालिभिः सेव्यमानोस्मरामि श्रीमाता सरसारम्भे वंशी वटतटस्थित कर्षण वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथा श्रीस्तु नः तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासवी भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
You sing for him first?
Yeah, I didn't tell.
I know. Afterwards.
Prabhuji, we can do cake cutting now. Prabhuji, 2 cakes, one for Vyasacharya Prabhu and one for Rasulman's son. Now, Prabhuji.
Hey, cake.
1 cake will ला तो one he should bring up.
जाओ। इन्हें पता चलेगा तो हरे कृष्णा तो होने वाला है।
V.Shrikanth is very efficient. She can make.
Yeah, she can make now. Only thing is she is not come.
चलो कम।
She is not come.
She is not come for that.
She is not come for that. So you must have read in the mail, our topic is releasing resentment and practicing forgiveness and the impact of this on our health and chanting. So it's a topic of lot of introspection and very deep. So please pray that we can do it successfully. So before going to the theme of resentments, we'll see some basic thought process that leads to these kind of thoughts. So to begin with, let us look into the life of Gaur Mohan Dey. What was his beliefs? Generally what happens is, whatever beliefs we have, these are the beliefs that run in the family. It is not that a particular individual has a separate belief system. That may also happen, but most of the beliefs that we hold in our life, it generally runs in the family. So let us see the life of Gaur Mohan Dey. We know what value systems he had, very principled life, and his major belief system for his son Abhay Charan was that he should become a Vaishnava. He should become Radharani's servant. So that was that was his foremost belief for his own son. Even though his wife wanted that he should become a barrister, all that was secondary for him. So this belief system was passed on even to his son Abhay Charan. So from his childhood, he had Vaishnava goals for himself. Like we know the story how he would see the train catalogue and he would see the ticket fare for Jagannath Puri, and he would always dream that I want to go to Jagannath Puri, what is the cost of the ticket? So he would always plan that I will go to Jagannath Puri in my life. And so this way he had many such wonderful Krishna conscious beliefs for himself, which were very strong from his childhood. And later he met his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He gave him many sets of instructions like print books in English, the foremost one, and go to the Western countries and preach. So Prabhupada put so much faith in these instructions. He believed that this has to happen. He believed in this instruction and he cultivated it very strongly in his own life, and it happened. So because he strongly believed it, it became a reality for him. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had tried this with many other disciples, but they were not so successful. But because our Srila Prabhupada, for him this was his, he really believed it and he made it come true. So whatever preaching we have today in the world and ISKCON, whatever the flourishing movement we have, this is the result of Srila Prabhupada's strong belief in a very positive and transcendental thought instruction. And even if we see in the life of our Maharaj, he had so many wonderful beliefs. Like, he believed his inner voice. He believed very strongly, if I go to India, I will know who is God, what is my relationship. So, having that as a strong belief, he came to India and, it worked out. Everything fell in place and it was, it worked just like he had believed it would happen. So these are beliefs. Now, all of us in our life also, we hold positive beliefs as well as negative beliefs. Some positive beliefs are very nourishing, and we also have many negative beliefs. So, before we go ahead, let us quickly make a list of, we'll begin with the positive beliefs. I'll give you an example. Like from our childhood, we learn, before crossing the road, look left and right. So that becomes a belief, it becomes a practice, and throughout our life we do that because we learned it in childhood. So these are some very good beliefs, positive beliefs that we practice and we learn from childhood in the family. So you all could list out some things like that which we have learned from childhood, our family has been practicing and we also follow it.
Getting early in the morning is, whole day we feel very free, and going early in the bed, that practice is very good for the health.
Yes, that's a very nice positive belief. Early to bed, early to rise, and we know how.
Coming from the writing.
Yes, that's what exactly. It's very authentic because Krishna Prabhu is saying it.
To live a clean life without many complications and have very simple and clean dealings with everybody.
Yeah, so this is
Not get into
yes. So these are some very good positive beliefs. Leading a clean life, not getting implicated. So he's talking both about internal and external cleanliness.
Respect.
Touching feet, okay, respecting elders. Yes, very nice point. Respecting elders.
Eat everything that you have taken in the plate. Eat everything that you have taken in the plate.
Okay, do not eat.
Don't waste.
Don't waste. Yes, Pavi. Sweet dahi. Okay. That's a sweet belief. Continue to practice. Okay, adjusting to situations. Very important to lead a peaceful and successful marriage life. Grihastha ashram.
Eating outside food is not good.
Okay.
Avoid
You mean junk food?
junk.
Okay. Avoid junk food.
Caring for others.
Okay.
Caring
Being
for others.
truthful. Sorry?
Caring for others.
Okay. Being caring for others. So these are. I knew that wonderful contributions will come, so I never wrote anything.
In any situations, adverse situations, you have to pray to the Lord. Pray to the Lord.
Okay. Take shelter. Anyone wants to contribute? Any more points?
Accept service coming on your service.
Okay. Accepting services.
Service attitude.
Service attitude. Okay. So like this, there are many positive beliefs. So it's wonderful. We'll go to the other side because our focus is going to be more from there, and then we'll again shift to the right positive beliefs. There are some very negative beliefs which we also harbor. These also could be running in the family, some could be coming from peers and from society or from school, different sources. So we do have many such negative beliefs about ourselves and about the world. Like, I'll give you an example to start with. No one loves me.
ये दूसरा पहने क्या मेरे पास एक काला ही है आपका चलता है क्या you brought only one huh? This is ours.
No, this is not.
No, ours.
So like this, we carry many negative beliefs.
You
I
want to
cannot
say
fully
nobody-
satisfy everybody is connected.
Okay. I cannot please everybody.
Fully.
Negative belief. It's a fact of the day. I mean, fact of life.
No. It's like it. You know,
Other
it
than my
becomes-
incapability
it
of
becomes-
pleasing others.
No. See, it becomes negative one if it brings guilt. Correct?
Yeah.
I cannot satisfy, and another person will never become satisfied whatever I do. Both.
It can be a negative belief if you say that I can never please anybody. It can be said positively. It can be taken negatively also.
If you create that mental block in your mind.
It's a state of mind. Being judgmental. Okay. Basically, yeah, like if you know, we are always judgmental about people, finding faults, pointing at weaknesses. So in that way.
Having a sense of superiority over others, and especially if you are doing everything right, then kind of having a tendency to kind of always look down, not exactly look down, but having that sense of, like they say in mode of goodness, you can get bound by
Superiority
the
complex.
golden chain, sukham and jnanam. You can get attached to.
Okay. Feeling superior to others.
Yeah.
Also say pride.
Or are you mean to say
I don't know.
being more bossy or
Not
something?
exactly bossy, but kind of
Being proud and arrogant.
maybe proud would be very
Okay.
close to it.
Okay.
Unless I control, things will not happen properly.
Wanting to control.
Unless I control situations, things will go out of control.
Yeah.
Unless I control, everything will go out of control. I have to be there.
Other person does not know best.
Do we sometimes feel I am born to suffer?
अपना तो बैड लकी करा something.
नसीब ही बेकार है. I am born to suffer. That's why I am suffering. Yes, I feel like that sometimes. I am not good at anything. Very wonderful.
I am getting the maximum. I did not get this.
Yes, I always face difficulties. I always suffer. That's what I am born to suffer.
Nobody understands me.
Yes, perfect. Nobody understands.
This is another one.
We curse that we did not get the best family members.
Okay, cursing situations.
Not the best person.
Yes, cursing situations.
If things don't work, then shout.
No, that is the later reaction. We are talking about the thought process in the mind, at the mind
The
level.
belief is also
That-
there, like suppose the things are not working, so we are taught, like our parents or somebody will teach us that if these things are not happening properly, then say it strongly, strictly and in such a way, bossy way, so that the things will get
Things will
accomplished.
happen, yes.
Not able to accept that we fail. You always have to be perfect.
Not
Something
okay.
doesn't work properly,
Can't
then
accept
we can't.
failure. Can't accept failure. Someone had a point here. Sulakshmi, you wanted to say something?
It's the same thing. Why this thing happened with me only? Why
Okay,
God
yeah.
always doing all these things with me?
I had a friend who would always say, I am just a doormat. You understand doormat? Anybody comes and just wipes off their dirty feet and goes away. That means, I am just a doormat. That means anyone can come and relent their anger on me and say anything to me and don't care about it. She has a contribution. Yes?
She's saying I am also there.
Yes. So one feels, I am a doormat, do anything with me, behave the way you want. You can shout at me, scold me, do anything. Throw all the mind's dirt on me. I am a doormat. Have you felt like this? Illness runs in my family. Hamesha bimar. Illness runs in my family. Always someone or the other is sick at home.
Want to suffer.
Yes.
I can achieve only this much.
Yeah, limiting. That is limiting our capabilities. Yes, limited, putting limitations. Then do we feel, I have no talent. I cannot do anything. I have no talents.
Good for nothing.
Good for nothing. Yes. Yes. Anything else? Can someone think of some other such negative belief systems that we have?
Always something is against me. I am always getting something.
Humorology or something which days
Okay. Putting faith in means you're doubtful or suspicious about or doubtful about doing things.
someone's number is not matching with me,
Oh, okay, okay. So, yeah, so how do we put it? Too many false, or I mean, some self-imposed beliefs. So you were saying something?
Always things are not in my favor. There is always something against me.
Yeah, nothing is in my favor.
Favor.
Correct. So, why has it not?
I am doormat. I am doormat.
See, some people, they say, yeah, I am a doormat. Doormat, what do we do which is on the doormat? Whoever comes home, they step on the doormat and they clean their feet on it, or they clean their chappals, which are, if the chappals are muddy or whatever, they clean it on it by rubbing.
Okay. Everybody
So,
comes here for
yeah,
frustration on you.
so whoever is frustrated, they pour their frustration on that person. They can scold that person and get away. He will not say anything, he'll just say yes, yes.
I just keep tolerating a lot of problems.
Tolerating other people's negative emotions. Dustbin, yes, a trash bin. Okay, so that's the feeling of being a doormat. So if anyone has anything more, we will take it or we'll go ahead. Tauji, you didn't contribute anything. Yes? Okay, okay. Moody. Being moody. Okay. Yeah. So,
Recognition of service.
yeah, no one recognizes my service. That's a good point. No one recognizes me, whatever I do. Yes.
Overconfidence comes in which place? Overconfidence.
Overconfidence. See, it depends what is the attitude of that. If it leads to some negative results, if we are always overconfident or something, and it leads us into some negative result, then that could be a negative thing.
Yes, depend the results.
Okay. So now, these are some negative beliefs that we have. These beliefs are such that it is not always on the surface. See, to remove out positive beliefs was too easy. Everyone had something to say. But negative beliefs are, they are more in the subconscious. They are not so much at the surface. But, if we look deep inside, we'll all agree that we do behave like this, or we say like this, or feel like this on many occasions, right? But even these are not the innermost feelings. Behind these negative feelings are more deep other thought processes which lead to this feeling. There are other deeper fundamental beliefs that we carry. And these, which we listed down, these are only the effects or the expressions of those beliefs. You understanding? So, we will see some examples of what are the deeper beliefs that we have which lead to these kind of negative beliefs. One is to feel that I am not good enough. To put it precisely, I am not good enough. That means I cannot do anything properly. I am not good enough. I am not, plain. I am just not good enough. So this is one belief, negative emotion, which leads to many other negative thoughts. Then we feel that, I am doing something, but I don't like what I am doing. I am just doing that to please another person because he or she wants me to do this, I am doing. But I don't like doing it. So that again leads to many negative emotions to come up. Because we have to like what we do. And if you're doing what you don't like for a very long time, it doesn't make us happy. It's not a very healthy emotional situation. So even this thought leads to many such negative thoughts. So these are the mothers of those negative emotions.
I don't believe in what I'm doing.
No, not believe, no, not believe. I don't like what I'm doing. I'm doing it to please somebody, but I don't like myself what I'm doing. It could be something in the family, it could be anything, office, like that. So it's a contradiction inside. You understand? So we have to live, we are living with that contradiction and it is creating a lot of negative energy. Then there is a feeling of being wrong because we are not fitting somebody's standards, someone else's standard. Yes. We feel we are wrong because we don't fit in someone else's standards. Okay, suppose we are living in a family situation and someone has a standard, they have already set a standard for us. And no matter what we do, they are never satisfied. We never meet their standard. So what happens? We are always at guilt. We always consider ourselves wrong. I am wrong. Why? Because I don't fit into someone else's standard. So I am wrong. So this situation, this thought which one goes through also is a mother of many other negative emotional thoughts which we saw over there. So these are the deeper, innermost feelings which lead to those thoughts. Hari bol, the cake has come. So let us see where these thoughts actually come from. We saw we have negative thoughts. We saw what are the sources of those negative thoughts. So where do these thoughts actually come from? Why do they actually come from? So usually whatever we believe in our own life, it need not be exactly our belief. It is someone else's opinion which we have incorporated into our own belief system. You understand? It's someone else's opinion, but we have very nicely incorporated that person's opinion as our belief.
Especially from childhood.
Yes, from childhood or at any age, from school, college, anything like that. So, like say for example, in childhood, whenever we tried to sing, if some people or say friends or relatives, they said, "Arey, many donkeys have come near the door. Are you singing?" Oh, then no wonder, that's why there are donkeys at the door. So, if a person has grown up hearing these statements, then that person never, if he, this is another person's opinion, that when you sing, you actually bray. That's why donkeys come. So if this is that person's opinion, this is not my belief, neither am I braying. But if I take that person's opinion and superimpose it on as my belief, that yes, actually I cannot sing, I bray, then do you think we'll be confident ever to sing? No, we'll say, no, I cannot sing. So even when we grow up, if there's an opportunity to sing, we step back. No, I don't sing. But that person may have forgotten. Why don't you sing? But if you go dig and go deeper, somewhere there is some hurt, someone has teased in the childhood, or some demotivation, which has led to this kind of a negative emotion, which hampers that talent.
Mataji, is this what not is called as inferiority complex?
Yeah.
That's exactly
So
what
it's a negative thought. Okay.
Is it also like, for example, like in ISKCON, they found out that all those who do child abuse, they generally have been abused in their childhood.
Yes.
Is that thing?
Yes. We know this, we know this principle from our Shastras, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu. So how we treat ourselves or how we were treated, we do that to the world. Like Maharaj also says, if you fill a child's life with abundant of love, that child when he grows up, he'll never be love starved. In fact, he will be a never-ending source of love for everybody. He will always believe in giving love. But if a child is love starved from his childhood, such a person can never love anybody in this world. Because he was love starved in the childhood, so he'll always be love starved. No matter how much anyone loves him, he'll always feel no one loves me. See, when I come to temple, nobody bothers about me. No one says Hari Bol to me. No one wishes me on my birthday. No one asks me if I don't come for a program. So, so every thought that we go through has a lot of background. I remember this incident from Journey Home, where, if you remember the first chapter of Maharaja's Journey Home, he had a friend, that Christian friend, and he showed some weapon or a gun or something like that to Maharaj, and he said, "You're a Jew, and my father says God hates you." Yes.
First page.
Yes, first page. His journey home begins with that. And Maharaj was so shocked. God hates me. He was just 6 or 7 years old. And that statement that I'm a Jew and God hates me. Now this was that boy's opinion. And he tried to put it on Maharaj. But when Maharaj went back home, we know that his family belief systems were very positive and very good. So his mother immediately put him at ease and told him how actually God loves everybody and God loves you. And Maharaj actually prayed to God and felt very close to God. So that belief that God hates you, it never became his belief because he never accepted it. It remained that fellow's opinion. But if someone would have accepted that God hates me, then he would have also hated God, and that would have become his own belief. So, that's how it works.
So, Mataji, just one point on this. What came to mind immediately when I saw this, on the board sort of belief is Britishers coming to India. So, when they came to India, the way they put on the belief upon Indians that we were inferior, So it all became, the whole country went became like a belief. And yes, we are inferior to them.
Yes.
And we lost our own culture.
Yes, perfect, very nice. So we developed so much sense of inferiority. In fact, nowadays people don't even like to speak in their mother tongue, or wear their kind of traditional clothes. They feel, my God, what will my friends say? It's too inferior. So this is what we have incorporated their beliefs in, and made it our belief that we are inferior. Our traditions and cultures are inferior. So yes, this has happened countrywide. Yes. So every belief. So now we have seen what are the belief systems, how it works, how we take another person's opinion, make it our belief. So every belief has an external expression as well. Okay, we saw the internal thought process. We saw some thoughts which are even more deeper hidden behind them. And also these thoughts, they have an external expression, how we express them externally. Like some examples will make it easy. If some child has grown up with a feeling that I am always at fault, okay, so what happens is he grows up feeling that I am always at fault. So this is the inner belief, and the external expression is he'll keep saying sorry for everything. Because no matter what happens, he feels I have done something wrong. I'm at fault. So he ends up always saying sorry. But the internal thought process is that which a person has cultivated, that I'm always at fault. So I have done something wrong. I must say sorry. So sometimes the other person feels, why are you saying sorry? But that becomes the person's habit. Okay. Then, why people have very short-lived relationships. When a person feels that no one loves me, and from where this feeling came? Yes, he was not loved himself, so he doesn't know how to love. So his relationships with family members, friends, they're always short-lived. So this is the external expression of these beliefs. Then, sometimes if you say, "Arey, you're so slow, come on, do it fast." Say to our spouse or somebody, they say, "I am like this, I cannot change. I am like this." So who has told you you are like this? We are part and parcel of God. We are eternal. We are Satchidananda. But who has said, I am slow and sloppy. I am the way I am. I cannot change. So this happens very often, right? Yes. Huh, pardon? Ah, always. Yes. Then also,
Madhuri, there is a distinction here. So people may say this, that I am like this for two reasons. One is because they genuinely believe because of their negative beliefs, and the other is to somehow get away with this, this person is nagging me too much. So to get away from being required to change.
yes,
To get away from being required to change.
yeah, but yes, both the ways it is true. Yes, correct.
There are like to change a particular habit. It takes a very long time.
Yes.
And like Bhaktivinoda Thakur also tells that hardly we can, hardly 3 qualities we can improve in a lifetime. So now,
We are talking more about, the emotions. Of course, the emotions lead to the practice. It is changing a habit becomes difficult when we are dealing with it at a very external level. If you go to the root, why that habit came up, why that habit actually came, and if you go inside and introspect and try to change it at the root level, at the thought level, then many things can be changed. You know, sometimes small children, school-going children, they get teased by different friends. Oh, you're so dark, you're so fat, you're too tall. Hey, you're in second standard, you look so big. Oh, I look so big. So the child who is always teased like this also carries that hurt, for a long time. These are lasting hurts. Like if you go back to your school days, we have also gone through this, where people say something repeatedly to us and they become like lasting hurts. So, all these things, they keep adding and adding and adding to our quota of negative thoughts. So what does a negative thought pattern do to us? You can draw a mind map.
Yeah.
like if the child is said, you are Hare Krishna, like this. And the child thinks that, oh, you Hare Krishna bula rahe. Child has never heard that. Child is saying that means I am little different from others, Hare Krishna. So what is child thinking there?
Yes. Yeah, this is really interesting. If the child is very happy as a Hare Krishna and he has a very wonderful experience as a Hare Krishna, then if you explain to the child that they identify you as a Hare Krishna or a Krishna devotee, then the child will be okay with it. But if the child has negative experiences with devotees, with the process itself, in family also, with parents' behavior and other things, then if someone calls him or her Hare Krishna, then she will feel that, I am being exposed. So it is what kind of experience the child is having in family as well as in the congregation. So, in the center you can write negative thought patterns. So these negative thought patterns, they don't yield any good fruits. Good trees yield good fruits, bad trees yield bad fruits. So negative thought patterns, they don't give us anything good in return. What it gives is very poor self-esteem, very poor self-worth, guilt, and self-criticism. Yes? Have you experienced feeling guilty, carrying that guilt? Oh, मेरे से ऐसे हो गया. Or I had done this in my childhood. Or whatever. We keep carrying it. Now, there is a difference between humility and, feeling a poor self-worth. It's not the same. Some, like our Maharaj, he always says that, oh, I'm a college dropout and see, I have to speak to all IIT pass-outs and doctors. But that's his humility. He actually, he even speaks to the President of America and, so he says that out of humility. But having a Poor self-worth means we only say I am horrible, I am useless, I am worthless, and we don't do anything. Not that we feel that way and then we achieve something. No, we don't do. Yes? Please say.
If somebody really hit him, or make him forced to do something that in the name of his own belief that God hates you, and he hit him, or he made him a cop, or he forced to make him do something, and this happened repeatedly. If belief in action comes to you, if negative beliefs and actions come to you, then how about you?
She is telling about somebody else's negative belief coming to you as their action.
Yeah, like it came, no, in Istanbul, and that person who made him shout Allah and all those things. Yeah, we will come to the reaction part. We will
It's coming very soon.
Yeah, we'll
Next
be
is that.
coming to that. Is it okay if we take it later?
The one thing just to say in this that, that's why in the 11th canto also there is a very famous verse of Krishna Uddhav Gita, where he says that having awakened faith in my glories, Krishna says, even if a devotee is unable to give up sense gratification, he should remain steady and means that if you see those, it is 11.30 something, the series of verses talk about Krishna basically talks about these things, that falling into the trap of too much of being, too much of guilt or lack, feeling oneself totally gone case, hopeless, that is not good. So Krishna says that such a devotee should remain confident, patient, and continue to worship him with determination, and not kind of feel too morose, because of falling pride and greatness. So in the series of verses, Krishna defeats all these things in one story.
Now listen to this $1,000,000 sentence. We can create our thoughts, and our thoughts become our experience. Makes sense? We can create our thoughts, and our thoughts they become our experience. Our thoughts become our reality. We'll see some examples for that. We will not take names here. There is a friend of mine. She always believed that she must work. She must work and be independent, and she should be earning her own salary. So she would always tell me also, since the time of my marriage, that you must earn. So her belief was not just the feeling of, spending time outside or something, but it was coming from a belief that what if my husband's health fails? What if he loses his job? Then who will support the family? So the wife should work. I must work. So this belief was so strong that she would always emphasize on this. And this thought was so strong that repeatedly her husband would lose his job.
And he was more qualified than her.
The husband was much more qualified education-wise than her, and everything was fine, very wonderful personality, but he kept losing his job, never steady in any job. And then there would be breaks of few months, again get a job, again long breaks, then get a job. So her belief was becoming stronger. See, if I was not earning, then you should also work, she used to tell me. If we don't work, see what will happen. Then, and one of her belief was, what if my husband loses his job? Another belief was, what if his health gets spoiled? And he would repeatedly his health started failing.
In fact, we know this family since a long time, since almost 15-20 years. It is not that the husband was a weak person or anything.
Very strong man. Very strong build.
But then because of that belief system of her, somehow it happened actually.
He kept falling sick for some reason or the other, and sickness of some kinds which that he just cannot go for work. So again break. So he would recover from the sickness, get a job, and then the job project would be over, so he would lose his job. So this is still happening. So this is a typical example of how a thought becomes a experience, and that experience again becomes it's a vicious circle. So that experience again makes our thought more powerful. Like that.
Bhagavatam gives some example of fly catching some insect and putting it in the putting it in a hole, and because the insect is so terrified,
So,
eventually it becomes
Tesis Kritam, yeah.
some example.
This comes in 7th canto.
How the caterpillar becomes a butterfly.
Something like
Correct? That one, yes. Correct. Then,
No, it's a particular insect.
Wasp, it is a wasp.
It's always afraid of that insect.
caterpillar is always afraid of the wasp.
And it actually becomes that. That's what the 7th canto it talks. I forgot which one it is. I forgot the actual verse, but it is there. 7th canto it comes, this verse. What he's saying is correct.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy. Because your thought has to become a reality.
Yes.
No, but then we are excluding karma from here and...
Yeah, one second. That's why, I heard this very nice talk of Premi Bro. He was telling us, karma comes as a thought. And your thought becomes a reality. You understood this? Karma comes as a thought. Karma doesn't come as an action. Karma comes as a thought process only. And another thing, let's remember, Bhanu Maharaj was saying this. Maybe I'll take over. I mean, I don't want to take over. We have decided I'll not take the mic. Bad habit. That controllership mentality. I'll just take this and then. Bhanu Maharaj says that tamoguna existence means following karma predictably. That means whatever your karma is, you don't resist it. You keep thinking like that only. That means those kind of thoughts arise in your system and you don't resist those thoughts. You just flow with that wave of your karma. That is tamogun response to karma, he says. Following karma predictably is tamogun response. That means karma generates thoughts in your system and you don't resist it. That is Dhritarashtra. So Vidura is telling that, see, we say the example, Dhritarashtra had to suffer the death of his 100 sons. That was the karma. But it comes as a thought where he starts doing mischievous activities. You understood? So Vidura tells him that don't blame karma. You have a power right now, the free will concept, to change. So Tamoguna response is to follow karma predictably. Rajoguna response is to complicate karma. That means to mess around with it and to usko complicate कर देना. It is like an example of that monkey. वो टार में अटक जाते हैं ना, एक हाथ डालते हैं, दूसरा हाथ डालते हैं, पूरा अटक जाता है. That example. Or like in modern urban system, where we complicate everything. That means Rajoguna complicates karma because the person meddles too much. Sattva means to consciously change one's thought pattern and in this way escape suffering. That's actually Sattva. So, nowhere it is said that whatever your karma is, that you have to suffer it. It will initially come as certain thoughts and patterns in your existence. But if you behave in Sattva Guna and decide to go against it, you could change. Karma is changeable. It's not that one must suffer that. No, it's like that. The Bhanu Maharaj told this last when I had asked him some questions. He was explaining this to me. So that is my source of what I'm talking. But it makes a lot of sense if you think about it deeply.
So means the thoughts are those which are beej and
yeah, we'll come to that. I'm coming to that only next. Yeah, go ahead.
That means feeling helpless that I cannot change, that is tamoguna.
That is tamoguna. Feeling helpless that I cannot change myself. मैं वैसा ही हूँ. This is tamoguna response.
Give the example of Sattva way of thinking about karma.
Sattva way of thinking is that I consciously change my life. I change my thought thinking only.
Example who did like that because Dhritarashtra helped to understand Tamoguna. So example who did not like that.
No example immediately comes to mind. No, Avanti Brahma, depends. You can see that. We can see that. I'll come to that maybe later. Yeah.
When we say that quota of happiness and suffering is fixed, one thing which I had heard about that was suddenly the exact events and circumstances are not fixed. Depending on what choices we make, events and circumstances could be different. But yet the amount of happiness and suffering is fixed as long as we are not surrendering to Krishna. So now right now you talked about going at goodness also and trying to manipulating it. to whatever extent, changing from suffering to happiness or whatever. But then we can meddle with karma only to the extent we are using our ability to serve Krishna. Otherwise, we are using something better than God itself, right? So we are.
So it's not like that. See, honestly, if you see from Vedic standpoint, though, we preach like that. If you see, a person could even do yajna, dana, tapa and escape his karmic reactions. Even confession, for example, Prabhupada says, even if you feel repentant for your sins, that is also, that gives you freedom from that sin. Prabhupada talks about repentance. So surrendering to Krishna is the ultimate machine gun which will destroy your karma. But there are many intermediate ways as well.
I'll take one or two more examples to where we'll see how our thoughts create our future experience. Like, it's a little sensitive, but I thought of taking the Nepal air crash, devotees air crash which recently happened. You know the devotee who had I forget his name. Yeah. So he had organized this and whole trip. It was his vision. He told every devotee, "Come with me. I'll take you back to Godhead." Yes. He had even our Yashoda Rani Mataji is also one of the intimate part of that group. He had phoned and told her. He followed up a lot. Yashoda, come with me. I'll take you back to Godhead. She said, no, I am not yet prepared. And they were flying everywhere. So generally they always, every year this group would go on many yatras like this. This very intimate friend group. Every year Yashoda Rani Mataji has been going with them. But this particular time, Nepal, they were flying everywhere. And she felt that she cannot afford that. She didn't want to spend that much or that so much flying cost along with her daughter. So for the cost, he said, no, I cannot come this time. But his opening sentence was, Yashoda, come with me, I'll take you back to Godhead. He said that to all the devotees whom he took with him. So of course, there's no doubt they could have, that they would have gone back to Godhead because their consciousness was quite elevated and But later, if you hear Govind Prabhu's lecture on this particular incident, he spoke that, one need not feel like that at a young age. You should do your duties at, everything should be done at the right age. And there are better tirth places to go, which are safer and nice. So, we should not venture into such very dangerous places. Then, there is with Kishore's permission, I'll say this. Okay, there was, not Kishore, one more friend of mine. Somehow she developed this thought that I want to die before my mother.
And spiritual master.
And Guru.
Before mother and Guru.
Yes, this was a very strong desire and belief that I want to die before my mother and my Guru. So this thought became so strong that she would always pray for that and she would tell all of us, I have a deep desire, please pray for me. We didn't know what we are praying for. So we'd say, yes, we'll pray, but we didn't know what was the desire. But later on, it actually became a reality. She quit her body at the age of less than 25. And later it was, discovered that she had cultivated this kind of a thought of passing away.
So that means she had a karma which would make her die so young, and that came as a thought.
It
And
came
because
as a
she
thought.
kept on thinking, it strengthened it so much, she actually developed some illness and she, illness or whatever happened. She left the body.
Yes. How these are, these thoughts are not only of this life, it can be of so many lives. We don't know. We have just uploaded them. So the thought becomes a future experience. It can even be fears. There can be fear. Like Kishore, from his childhood, he was always very scared of dogs. And we always noticed that when four of us would walk, the dog would not do anything to us. But if Kishore is there, the dog would bark at him. Or I have seen dogs walking behind him, trying to chase him. And one time I had to rescue him very badly. There's a dog in the society and it escaped from home without the leash. And I was walking with Kishore to a shop and this dog just got him. And I am not scared of dogs, so the dog was, not even coming near me, and I was holding Kishore, and he was spinning round and round, round and round around me, like that. And the dog was spinning around him. And a huge German Shepherd, and he was 3 or 4 years old that time. So much fear of dogs. Once we went to my aunt's house, she has two huge German Shepherds. And when he saw that, he became so cold, he jumped into my cousin's, he climbed on his body. Then, so what happens? This is a fear. And this fearful thought that the dog will bite me, the dog will harm me, it kind of turns into an experience for him. He has not been bitten, fortunately, but I have been working a lot on taking it out, and it's quite changing now. Like last week only, I saw that he had gone for a particular class. He would always call out to the neighbor's dog, but from a distance. This time the dog had gone for a walk. When he was calling, the dog came from behind, the master. So I was looking from a distance, what will he do? But I said, Kishore, the dog is happy. He's wagging his tail at you. He's very happy to see you. So he was little comfortable. Then he went and he put his hand himself on the back of the dog. He didn't do anything. So, he's kind of, I'm bringing him out of that, and he's also consciously trying to come out of that fear and thought that a dog is going to harm me. Of course, we should have some healthy fear, but that doesn't mean that we become so cold and expect that every dog is going to is ready to bite me. That's not healthy.
This is very true actually. Therefore, there is a saying also, if you ignore the problem will ignore you.
Yes. So, we'll put it into a very nice map. A thought, put an arrow around a circular diagram. A thought creates a need in our mind to experience the thought. So the thought creates a need, and the need leads to an experience. It's actually circular.
Does destiny not come in this two things? Thought and experience, does destiny not come in?
Hey Baba, मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, destiny karma इधर से आ रहा है. Karma puts you in situations that create certain thought patterns in you. You are born in such families, such circumstances, such friends. It gives you certain kind of thought patterns, karma. You start thinking in certain ways. See, please remember, our philosophy is what? Subtle turns into gross. No gross reality happens in your current life also without it being subtly contemplated. A subtle contemplation has to be there first. Only then it can become a gross reality. And that includes the sufferings and the pleasures that you get in the life. It has to have, everything starts from that thought only. And that is basically coming from the karma. So that is how the chain is.
So after
that's what I was telling you. Sattva guna means to consciously think and do. Anyway, I'll talk about that again later.
So after knowing so much about the impact of these negative emotions, let us stay away from negative thoughts, such damaging negative emotions. Just like we say no to food that makes us ill, right? We say, oh, this doesn't suit me, I don't eat this. So similarly, we should also say no to the thoughts that are negative for our emotions. So like this, the thought and the need and the experience, every single experience that we go through, every single negative or bitter experiences that we go through in life, we hold on to it. If you look back, think about different people. When you see their faces in your mind, you'll exactly know, oh, he used to do that to me. She used to speak like that to me. He did this to me. So, whatever negative experiences or impacts they have left on us, we hold on to it. And this holding on to negative emotions, negative experiences, this is called as resentment. That is what is called as resentment. That means holding on to past injuries or negative thoughts.
sorry to interrupt. Before we begin this section, just one question I had, whatever we have discussed so far. So when we are trying to emphasize the role of thoughts in our life, that's what we are essentially doing. The way I am taking it is that it's about fine-tuning our existence, and it does not kind of still underestimate some other facts which are present. For example, let's say there is a food. So like we all know that many of us for health reasons we avoid certain kind of food.
Yes.
So now we cannot say that, see, you need not avoid that food, it's all in your thought process. If you see this food will harm you, then it will harm you.
No, we are not saying like that.
Exactly, right?
No.
So is my understanding
No.
correct when
Yes.
I say that we are trying to fine tune our existence, and if at all we can work at the level of thought, that's well and good. But emphasizing thoughts does not mean that many other factors don't play a role and there are no facts beyond it.
Not like that.
There are, right?
There are. See, junk food causes toxic in the body, and junk thoughts cause toxic in the mind.
Exactly. So junk food will cause toxins in our body irrespective of
Yes.
whatever my thought process towards junk food.
Unless we are so transcendental like Shankaracharya, who drank, that molten iron, then he drank liquor, but he transcended.
Similarly, my point is that whenever some negative is happening to us, it may not completely be due to our, our negative thought process or whatever. Just like food may affect us because of the facts present in that food. Similarly, there could be other. Is that understanding right? Or is it completely because of, like the way Prabhuji had summarized, that ultimately our philosophy is that whatever gross experiences we have must have their seed in our subtle existence, subtle system because of it happens. So that's what I'm just trying to question to understand whether
Actually,
It is there, right? Even in the
most of the situations, we actually subtly create and invite them. That's how it is. You can elaborate more on it.
See, even in the, going back to food example, some junk food I ate, that gave a particular result in my body. That attraction to that type of food comes with a particular kind of thought processes. You understood? That is the lower modes. So, you like to, you understood, nah? Yeah. It comes to thought only. Without that, how? See, anything gross has to have a subtle cause. You can't avoid it.
So how do we know that we hold resentments? Because, it is very common. If we talk to some people, very common. When they are hurt or something, they start the whole story from the scratch. Have you experienced this? If somebody is in difficulty or if there is something gone wrong, they start the whole story from scratch. We must have heard it many times, but they'll again start the whole thing and they will tell it with great enthusiasm and as fresh as if they're telling first time. So this happens that, it plays like a reel. You keep rewinding it, and the same thing keeps playing. Every time we are hit on that particular issue, the whole thing starts again. Like sometimes, we knew a couple who would, whenever there was a quarrel, they would go back to शादी में तुम्हारे father ने अच्छा arrangement नहीं किया था रहने के लिए. It would begin from there. He didn't give these things, though he promised he would. So every time, the whole reel would play from there, like that. So this itself means that we are holding on to these experiences. We have not let them go. So bury the past means what? It doesn't come back. We are forgiven. But holding resentment means what? Playing the same thing again and again, and feeling satisfaction. And adding one more thing to it, uploading the database, updating. So in this way, our past experiences that we had, this keeps holding us back. How it holds us back? Like I gave you the example of singing. If we were very highly discouraged from childhood that you don't sing, you only pray, then this experience holds us back from learning singing or sing anywhere. We feel, I cannot sing because of that experience. Or you'll see sometimes devotees, if they had a very bad experience about selling books, book distribution, they'll be very scared to venture into it again. No, मेरा मुंह देख के कोई book ही नहीं लेता. I just cannot do it. Nobody buys books from me.
Sorry to interrupt. So when we talk about holding back to our past experiences, there are two cases. One is when nothing was to be done about those experiences and therefore there is no point thinking about it. But let us say a person who is not an authority, who is a subordinate, who is subject to various situations, has gone through several experiences wherein every experience perhaps demanded a corrective action, but let's say the corrective action was not taken. Now what is happening is, it is building upon in this person, correct? Now, if the corrective action is not being taken, if he or she follows this principle, knowingly or unknowingly, about experiences, of course, remember, it will no good, but the point is that when we say that something is getting built up, so that when we say something is getting built up to such an extent that now you have to keep your foot down, you have to kind of take a corrective action. So is that thing a positive thing? That building up is a positive thing, or that also is not to be done and you should just not do anything about it?
Of course we should do. That is positive. Like the Pandavas. The Pandavas were always compassionate. They didn't want to take any revenge from the Kauravas. They wanted to, they wanted to just go and live in the forest back. But then they were told that, okay, by going in the forest, you will forgive them, you will be compassionate to them. But what about the society? So, we had seen in that serial, that part in our meeting, we had a long discussion where Vyasadeva is telling them that, Vyasadeva tells the Pandavas that by your going to the forest, you will forgive them, but that's not going to, do any good to the society. So as you have to do your duty of, taking the right action and, make use of your authority and punish the wrongdoers.
So that we don't call as resentment.
No.
When we remember the past.
No.
This is when we allow it to spoil our present. That is
Yes.
resentment.
So we learn from all this that we have to release our resentments. We have to release them. Okay, that is just like when we clean up our cupboards or we clean our fridge at home. So we buy new vegetables and things like that. We don't just dump it in. We first clean up the fridge, all the shelves, we wash everything clean. Some old vegetables could have been rotten, we throw all that and then we put the new stuff inside. Right? Similarly, we never do this cleaning of the mind. We are putting good thoughts, like we read Shastra, we hear lectures, we go to Yatra, we do Kirtan, we do so many things. We chant. These are all wonderful transcendental thoughts that we are putting in the mind. But we don't do the removing of all the rotten thoughts which are there. So this cleaning process also is important. That is what is called as giving up, releasing resentment. That means we should allow the memories to stay as memories. We should not attach our emotions to those memories. These are Maharaj's words. Just today afternoon I thought, let me hear if Maharaj has anything to say about this topic. So when I played the lecture, he just started saying, the opening class only opened with releasing old resentments and
Can you please repeat this?
release emotional attachment to the memories. That is what it means to release resentment. Let memories be memories. Like we have so many memories. Oh, I had this particular kind of dress. Or, I played these things in my childhood. Or, like they are memories.
Memories are already emotions. How can they be separate?
Yes, but no, don't attach emotions. Let memories be memories. Don't attach your emotions to them. Negative emotions. Don't be
somebody said something bad to you.
Yeah, don't be emotionally carried away with those emotions and always keep it in the
In the
mind.
absence of emotions, memories will just be information about history. Something happened.
So yes, so let it be that way.
Especially if negative.
Yes.
The point is, if your emotion is attached to those memories, you are going to be repeatedly affected by it, right? Right? Like going back to the example that I was giving, somebody was child abused. Generally, that person, they say, is 100% prone to abusing a child when he becomes big. Almost 100%. Because he was abused. So there was a memory.
So for him it should be just a thing which happened.
Yeah, he has to consciously give up that negative, he has to do it. That's the Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna means to fight against the lower thought processes within your system. If you don't do that, you're just going to be carried away by the regular stuff. You understand the point, man? No, bata na, simple. See, that's what I was telling you earlier. That suppose somebody had a bad memory, some very bad experience. Let's say a child was abused by someone. Let's say sexual abuse is one thing. Sometimes physically beaten, or like for example, like we say, na, suppose a child has grown up seeing father and mother always fighting, shouting at each other. That's a memory. And if your emotion was associated with it and you carry it, you are going to repeat it. History repeats itself. Sattva-guna means to understand what is beneficial, what is not. This is actually Jnana Marga. Jnana Marga means Niti process. Niti matlab kya? Niti doesn't just mean that this is not God, that is not God. That is one way. Niti also means this kind of thought process is not good. This is not what the Atma is. This is not what I am supposed to keep with me. I have to give it up. Understood?
So like
that emotion has to be given up. If it is not given up, you're going to repeat it and suffer. That's the point.
So both negative and
yes.
Negative and positive.
Like a child who has grown up.
But positive, then no need to give up. That is the point. If you had fantastic parents, like Dwarkadhish Prabhu says, my parents were fantastic. Why to give up that experience? Because then you will carry that forward and be good. That's why we told in the beginning only. We are mainly talking about handling the negative emotions and giving the resentment with it. No?
If some boy has grown up getting beaten, thrashed by his father, so he is going to do that. If he was very emotionally affected by that, he will say लातों के दूध बातों से नहीं मानते, मैंने भी ऐसे ही सीख, मैं भी ऐसे ही बड़ा हुआ हूँ, तो वो भी ऐसा ही, remove his belt and left, right, center.
Hitler, it is said Hitler had a troubled childhood.
Anyone who behaves whimsically has to have had. It has to be there.
Yes, see in Maharaj's life, he had a very amazing, fulfilling childhood. Wonderful parents, very loving, still very loving and caring father at this age. Very fulfilling family. And that samskara carried forward, isn't it? And Maharaj always speaks about it. He speaks very highly about his parents. So these resentments that we hold back, that we don't give up, that we don't let go, it affects our health also. It affects our health. So now we'll go to the next part, that is how these resentments, holding on to resentments, how it affects our health and our sadhana. There are some experts, Western scholars, experts in metaphysics department who deal with the body and mind. So they have made a beautiful analysis how every thought, how every disease in the body is associated with a thought pattern. You will be surprised to see that.
I just had one query. Like you were telling that if a child is beaten, abused, he is beaten and he will also develop that thought.
He can.
But then at times children behave in such a way that there is no other option apart from beating them.
No. There are various options, but we out of habit and experience, that becomes the last resort. There is always a good option. Yes, does anyone agree that there's always a better option to deal with?
Better option actually to talk and discuss.
Yes.
Not with very small anyone is not supposed to be. As they grow up, you have to discuss with them.
I heard till 5 years of age, even if you beat them, they will not keep it in memory. And afterwards,
Yeah, but after 5 years it becomes a habit.
But for us it is a habit, na? How will we stop at 6? 5 back.
People who hold on to very deep hurts. Waiting for the cooker. People who hold on, who nurture deep hurts. You understand? Nurturing deep wounds, deep emotional hurts. Those hurts, they turn to tumors. Yes. The example is, like how the oyster shells, it just takes a small grain of sand and it develops a nice covering, and with time, nurturing that thing, it makes a pearl is formed, which, it's very beautiful, but this is how a tumor is caused in the body?
See, it's a very simple thing. We say gross comes from subtle. Diseases are gross, right? They need to have subtle effect. Without the subtle background, it cannot come. So even a disease, even an internal disease. Like we say, suppose for example, we are thinking about some sad incident in our life, we start crying. So the tears are because of the thought. Correct? So tumor is internal. That is also not accidental in this context. That has a connection to your mind. It has probably, yeah.
If our allopathy way of treatment is only to the gross body, so they say tumor, okay, surgery, remove, finish. But if you go to homeopathy, like our Vaikuntha Vilasini Mataji will, she can tell us more. When you go to homeopathy, they will ask about some things from the questions about the mind. What is your thought pattern? What is your thought pattern? What are the dreams you see? How do you react to a particular situation? When do you sweat more? So, they ask many things related to the mind. And one who is new to this kind of treatment feels, अरे क्या संबंध है? मेरा 1 घंटा बर्बाद किया. But it's very relevant because they treat it at a more subtle level. They go to the thought pattern and try to connect the, release the disease from that level. Am I right?
Negative emotion.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yes. So she has endorsed what I said. Then if you go to Ayurveda, that also, in fact, our Dr. Jamadagni, I always hear a lot from Rajeshwari Mataji, he'll check the nadi, some doctors even check the patrika and tell that, this is your karma, this is your thought pattern, and this is, isn't it? So it's not just to the body like that. So the subtle has So holding on deep resentments. See, one is nurturing a particular hurt. Okay, a specific hurt if we nurture, कि मेरे साथ ऐसे हुआ, that can lead to tumor, and always a person who is always habituated to hold on to resentments, not giving up anything, whatever everyone did to him, so much resentful that he becomes totally negative towards the approach of life and everything, that this leads to cancer. Cancer is actually it's a manifestation of too much resentful thoughts in the mind. I know a relative who was, when I read this and when I could look back at the life of the relative, I could immediately understand it as a reality. This relative of mine had a very, very bad, life filled with like born to suffer. And this thought pattern again created so many such experiences. Very bad, very, very bad experiences with in-laws, husband, nothing working in favor. And every time the experience would make the belief strong, and the thoughts were growing stronger, and it was creating more and more needs for experience. And so much resentful thoughts that every time the reel would be the same. What they did to me, what my husband did to me, what all happened to me, and how my boss troubled me, and how this boss troubled me. And so much resentful, so much toxic in the mind was there that in a very early age she had cancer. By the age of 40, she had cancer. And so we have seen that she had this kind of a thought pattern. Couldn't give up resentments. Many other relatives would say, bury the past, go ahead, but always hanging on, holding on, as if getting shelter in those thoughts. Then, if somebody is a very, seasoned criticizer, always criticizing, and a born perfectionist, always looking out for perfection, such a person is very likely to have a disease called arthritis.
Any kind of leg, knee problem, that's what they say.
Bone. Arthritis.
Perfection is bone problem.
Mataji did not understand the difference between first and second. First is nurturing deep
A particular
specific.
A specific hurt. In general, so many, not tendency. so many emotions can be there that are negative. There can be repeated experiences, right? If you sit with such a storyteller, you can hear for 2 hours, isn't it? So many things can be there.
See, so what we understand from this basically is, that negative feeling that a person, that's why Maharaj says in one lecture, it's a charcoal that you're holding. It is going to harm you like anything. It is not about the other person. For example, I may have the worst husband or wife or the worst in-laws or whatever, worst boss in office, some worst XYZ. But it is so imperative that I don't hold it in my heart because I am finished otherwise. Mentally, physically, I am dead actually. That's the point. It's at least for myself I should give it up. Other person may chodo. For myself. Otherwise there are problems.
Yes.
It's negative square.
Yes. Unresolved anger, deep anger which is undissolved. You have not given it up. You have forgotten, but you have not given it up. Whenever you think about it, it comes back, blood boils. This can lead to kidney stones. Unresolved, hard, they become like that. This is the subtle thought which leads to this gross manifestation. And also, these are few examples on the mind. What's something more I thought about? There's something interesting about deafness. You'll see that, in old age, sometimes old people develop deafness. Old people. We'll see in our grandparents' cases. So deafness actually it causes in old age because of a refusal to hear something. If somebody has a spouse who's very nagging and the other partner is fed up, kaan pak gaye, sun ke, wahi, so much nagging. So there's a, internal thought is that, there's a refusal to hear. So externally they may dig their face in the newspaper or do something like that, not paying attention. But in old age it can come up as deafness. Then constipation. Constipation is a problem. The thought pattern behind constipation could be a refusal to release old beliefs and old thoughts. A refusal to accept new ideas. A refusal to release. That's constipation. So the mind, like we say, my mind is constipated. That same constipated mind, it manifests in the gross as constipation in the stomach. We are holding on to our beliefs and our ideas so strong that are not able to release. And the next step of this is, if we are holding on to negative emotions, then that can lead to fissures, piles, fistula, something like that, which become even more serious wounds over there, and they cause a lot of pain and bleeding. That is when a person is not ready to release negative emotions. So these are so many ways, how the body can be affected by our thought patterns. So we have to work on changing our thought pattern and releasing these resentful thoughts. So, as I told you, I wanted...
All physical illnesses do necessarily they correspond to a chronic disease?
Yeah, they do.
They can.
I was thinking of Maharaj has 10 chronic diseases almost, but I don't think he would ever have any such thoughts.
Yes, since you're asking, just 1 second.
We don't want, we cannot judge pure devotees. We also know the fact that, when they are initiating, they are taking the karma of all.
And one thing I'll tell, because that is quite, it is something which even going through another says. It's very common thing. See, every disease has a negative thought process to it, that's for sure. For example, asthma. One reason for asthma is that a person has no time to breathe for himself in life. You have no time for yourself. You have given up all your time for others. You have no time for yourself. It's a very positive thing if you look at it in a way. But that can cause a disease. If you see Maharaj's, again, I didn't want to go into that too much, but since you asked, you see Maharaj's history actually has a very healthy body. Originally, means, the kind of...
Great swimmer.
Even now, even if he walks Govardhan Parikrama, you can't keep pace with him.
When he climbed Anjaneya Parvat, he went by the mountain path. He went last and he climbed by the mountain path and he quickly came back in very less time.
Very less. Dwarkadish Prabhu, I asked him about Maharaj's health. He told me that Maharaj's heart is very strong. He said, the heart is very strong. He said the main thing he developed is asthma in 1980s. And if you again look at that background, the way he lived life in Vrindavan, he actually had no time to breathe for himself. 24 hours of work. 24 hours extending, na? Six offerings, 6 boga, and then night kirtan in down Vrindavan. You know the story, right? That kind of life, no time for yourself. No time to breathe really. That's what they say from the homeopathy perspective.
That is one reason, and the second reason is also, thinking oneself, holding oneself guilty for anything that is happening around, holding oneself responsible for others.
I'll tell you one thing honestly, ISKCON as an organization, if you see managerially, it can give tremendous kind of mental pressures and health problems. It's much more than any outside world also. If you see the management, it's very intense, and the kind of criticism or the kind of things that come on a person, it's very heavy. And see, when you're talking again now, that's why she said also, pure devotees you cannot judge, because again, they take the karma of their disciples and other things also. That is also there. Like Prabhupada, when he became sick in Vrindavan in 1974, he said, I am sick only because of my disciples, he said. Because 90% of my disciples are not following regular principles, that's why I am sick. I got this high fever. So, I think Satsvarup Maharaj, he writes, everything else that Prabhupada said was emailed to all his, sent to all ISKCON centers, except this statement, because it was too strong. We decided not to send it. Prabhupada was having 104-degree fever at that time. So he said, my suffering is because of my disciples, he said. So, that's another different domain totally. But generally speaking, any physical thing has a mental background. If you are mentally very satisfied mode of goodness, comfortable kind of a person, how can you get a disease? Every disease, including even things like impotency and so many other things which we may think are gross, nothing is gross. Everything starts from subtle, na? That's a philosophy. How can we refuse that? Everything starts from the mind. Even creation starts from subtle matter is created first and then gross is created. Our next life body, first our subtle body is there, then depending on that we get gross body. How can diseases come like that? That's allopathy understanding, a very gross understanding without any connection to your reality and background. Understood, no? So, any gross disease has to have a subtle counterpart. There is a thought processes that you have been cultivating, maybe not this life previously, but it has been there in your system. You can give some more examples. Somehow we actually saw a whole list of everything actually. But overweight, simple thing I saw, overweight. He said overweight is because of, feeling, what was that? Insecurity? Insecurity, because of which you want to accumulate more to feel secure. You gather more to feel secure. Because there is an insecurity feeling within. So that overweight is also, it could come in terms of eating more or whatever. But then that is also related to a particular, idea. So the point is that giving up negative thoughts and resentments, the importance of it. Because it has importance, the significance on a mind, on a body.
I have seen my grandfather. He's a wonderful example that comes to my mind. My mother's father. And I also have heard from Rajeshwari Mataji, her in-laws, were very healthy till the end. And also my grandfather, I've seen him very closely.
95.
He had also come and stayed with us in this house after marriage for a few days.
Who used to read Ramayana? He had told his full story.
No, that was different.
Ramayana only. He would write and he would read.
So very wonderful Vaishnava, and he.
I'll give you an example. Just one second. Her grandfather. See.
Let go.
You must give an example of Saint Francis of Assisi. Then I'll tell this. Okay. Her grandfather, I know the background. When he was 85-year-old, he had only one son and 3 daughters. One of his was his mother. That son threw him out of the house. When he was 80, threw him out. With saman, he put it out and he said, there is it. Push off. And when we met this person, he's a Vaishnava. He has to be a Vaishnava. He had not an iota of resentment towards his son and daughter-in-law for doing this, for throwing him out of the house at the age of 80. A faultless man. He said that there is absolutely nothing wrong with my son. It was my karma to suffer like this. I take it happily, he said. This karma is getting over, so he was telling actually, he came to our house, I remember, after marriage. He said that, my karma is just getting over and I can go back to God, Vaikuntha. I don't understand this word. So I'm not feeling anything towards my son. That he threw me out like this at the age of 80. बाहर डाल दिया सामान. जाओ बोल के. कुछ नहीं लगा. So the point is not that we can do anything to anyone. The point is just see from the perspective of the person who is receiving such a hurt at the age of 80. Your son is throwing you, and believe me, faultless man, beautiful personality. He is like. He would live a life where 2 hours he would do yoga, he would do chanting of Ramayana. He would not trouble anybody. He was not a nagging person saying, "Mujhe ye khana do, khana do." No bad habit, nothing. Very, very clean man. There was absolutely no reason to throw him out. But still he threw him. The son threw him out. But he didn't feel anything. So the point is, when you don't hold resentment, you stay super fit. Till 95 he was fit. He was writing Ramayana daily, and Sri Ram Jai Ram he would write, and he had a diary where he would maintain that I have done my sadhana today like that. And living at the age of 95, one day he did all his sadhana, he wrote in his diary, and in the evening he passed away. And the neighbors came to know that he has passed away. They informed everyone else, and the family members and all went and did the final thing. So the point is that when you don't hold resentments, you have a beautiful life.
I'll tell you how he didn't hold resentments. It is not that forget it. He forgave him, his son. Later on also his son would come to meet him in his, wherever rented house, small house. So the son would come, but so my grandfather would bring a chair for him to sit, and he would come there and sit, and he would bring some fruits or something for them, and my grandfather would prepare some coffee or something and give him in hand. I would feel, my God, this is too much to forgive a person to this extent. But he never visited a hospital in his life because his thought pattern was always like that. He always forgiving. Never ate in hotels and never visited hospitals. So I feel that this process works.
Good question. As you are saying, all diseases, gross manifestation diseases can be pointed out to some. So it doesn't mean what kind of a contaminated setting surrounding we are in. If our thought process is good enough, whatever is going inside food, we really don't get affected.
Not like that.
Not like that, na. Your surroundings create a thought process, unavoidably. You are not so free, na. You live in a surrounding like that. You are saying na, in any dirty surrounding you live, whatever. That will create a thought process. The environment creates thought processes. You sit in the field, you will have a thought process. You go to, in the middle of the city, you have a thought process.
That kind of a food will itself.
Yes.
And the thought process is proper, we will also make the.
Yes. It's a connect.
Your question was more direct. For example, let's say
organic
some mosquito bites me and I get dengue.
It happens. It
Does it
happens.
mean it is because of my thought process that mosquito bit me?
I have a question.
I mean, I'm just trying to understand. Question more direct.
No, you are extending it too far.
The question was, when we have a disease, does it mean it has a...
It means that we are not in sync with nature. When there is malaria and dengue and diseases caused by other, such parasites, it is actually saying that we are not in sync with nature.
Trying to be victim of my environment. My thought process may not be wrong. Now, this disease is caused by external environment. It's not a chronic disease that is external environment. Parasites and all that.
See, I tell you one wonderful thing.
I think even in that case,
last week,
this thing
Mosquito biting you may not be able to whatever. But I'll tell you one thing, accidents. Accidents are also because of a thought process. They are not accidents. They are a thought process. The thought process is violating authority. The doctor has a point.
When swine flu was current in society, I had gone to the homeopathy doctor that can you give something to so that my child will not get it. She said that Even somebody's immune system is very strong, he may get swine flu, he will not even realize it has entered your body and gone out. You will not be affected.
Going one step ahead. Going one step ahead.
The body became weak.
Diseases are present at all times
Yes.
around everyone.
Yes.
We become susceptible.
We become susceptible. And it is also according to our state of mind that makes our willpower, and that's how we become susceptible. Like ghosts are, there are evil spirits and ghosts everywhere. But some people are more susceptible to be
Affected by their haunted.
Yeah, haunted.
Haunted.
Yes. That happens.
Another
So, we have to keep a watch on time.
just I have to contradict something related to organic chemistry.
I am not
I am contradicting that story. I heard a story of a father. He was from Europe and he was punished by the king. Yeah. So this father was punished by this king, and this king fed him spoiled water and stale food. He would give him all the time. However, this father was having such, you can say, positive thoughts. He would pray to that food that, please give me nourishment. At the end of 6 months, after feeding this kind of food, the king felt that he must have become weak and he must be on the verge of death. But he was hale and healthy.
He transcended that material contamination by his higher nature.
Which is very rare.
Yes, that is rare.
Which was the whole point. No? By his thought process, he.
Yeah, but he had so much devotional, spiritual merit also.
See, this whole discussion is Jnana Marga. Where Jnana Marga means with your mind you connect to the Supreme. So your mind you make it very strong. And that actually gives you liberation. Please remember. Even if Krishna has not yet come into the picture, it gives you liberation. The people who talk this, they are not devotees. But they still experience less material miseries. You understand? Because in their mind they have given up negative things. So, even if for a devotee it's actually supposed to be more easy to do this. But sometimes we see devotees find it very difficult to do this. Devotee means they chant Hare Krishna, but everything else they hold on. Prahlad and all, see, that's the point. No resentment. You see the Bhagavatam, Ambarish Maharaj, no resentment.
In case of devotees, we have it in our culture itself. Like before we start eating, we have our prayer.
Yes.
So there is no chance, even if devotees, that's what.
Again, if we say it very feelingly and very
it is going to affect the food quality and it will affect eventually the health.
Yes. Again, the feelings are important. How we do it. If we are doing it mechanically, then it will not have the same effect. So we saw some examples of how this affects the the body, and this negative thought, how resentments also affect our chanting. Achyut Keshav Prabhu was correctly pointing out today that how these thoughts spoil our chanting. Because when we sit to chant, all these thought patterns which are going on, they keep, they start playing. Like if we close our eyes, we are watching a running movie inside. Of all the events that happened in office or home, or what quarrel we had with somebody, or some argument. So all these things go on in the mind, and in the mind we are chanting, but we are arguing. In the mind we are thinking, I should have said this at that time. Why did I keep quiet? Tomorrow when I meet this person, I will remind him of this. So these things are happening. Sometimes we'll even see actions. So this does affect our chanting very much. So taking this into consideration, it is affecting both our body and our mind. It is better to work out ways to release them. Govind Prabhu also says, when our mouth is dirty, we have to clean our mouth by brushing. If you say I'll chant Hare Krishna and clean my mouth, it doesn't work that way. We have to do the needful. And then our chanting will be good. We can chant, but still if we chant in a cleaner situation, our chanting will have better effect.
They have talked about the correlation between heart diseases and some or ulcers and some.
They will take that, that's a very big topic in itself. We have to take it some other time. Right now I'll go ahead and then. So what Maharaj said was very beautiful about this. He gave the example, today only I heard, As I told you, I wanted to see if Maharaj has to say anything on this. So the first lecture itself started with this, and Maharaj said, like in computer, we do something called as reset. So when we reset, the whole,
All the applications that are running, they shut down. Yeah.
So he said we should reset our consciousness. That means connect to its natural state. What is a natural state? But we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are eternal souls, and we are Satchidananda. And these negative thoughts have nothing to do with us. These are Maharaj's words. These negative thoughts have nothing to do with us. I am different from these thoughts. I should not hold on to them. So Maharaj said that birth after birth, we are uploading the negative thoughts in our consciousness. And Sarva Dharman Parityajya means the process of surrender. That means also surrender of all these thoughts which we have been uploading in our system, life after life. And then realizing that I am a pure spirit, part and parcel, eternal Satchidananda. And that's my Swarup. And I need not attach myself with all these negative emotions. So all the negative states of emotions and mind that we discussed today, Maharaj named all of them and much more. And fat, he said we have to release it. So, that made me much more enthusiastic to speak, and it really built up my confidence that yes, Maharaj has endorsed it. There's another topic that, which was to be covered today, but, I'll just touch on it. Forgiveness. The next step is, we have to end on the topic, so I'll not go into detail. Forgiveness dissolves resentment. So when we forgive, we have to literally forgive. Forgive doesn't mean forget. You forget, but you have to forgive and forget. It is not that forget means I just, I don't want to think about it. That's a lower level of forgiving. But forgiving means to actually completely forgive that person, that I don't hold anything and I have good positive thoughts for you and I have nothing negative about you and I love you. Yes. Maharaj, in which year?
96.
96. Maharaj's Vyas Puja book, I still have it. After that they stopped publishing. So in the cover of the Vyas Puja book, it was written a definition of a Vaishnava.
Maharaj's quote.
Vaishnava is one who forgives the person while he is offending. He forgives the person when the offenses are complete. In fact, he forgives the person even before he has started offending. That is a Vaishnava. So Maharaj emphasizes a lot on forgiving, and forgiving dissolves resentments. There are cases where people have dissolved their cancerous tumors without surgery just by practicing very, very deep forgiveness.
This is actually what is called alternative therapy and all that. Nowadays it's very famous actually in the world. Because this gross allopathy treatment, that is very gross. It doesn't go to the root only of your problem. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it okay if I complete forgiveness? It's not much.
Go ahead. Don't take 5-10 minutes.
You can put this up. You know what? First we will see why we need to forgive. We will see what unforgiveness leads to. So you make a mind map. Put unforgiveness in the center and
Unforgiveness.
Unforgiveness. So what happens if we are not willing to forgive? Sadness, hurt, fear, guilt.
Sadness,
fear, guilt, hurt, blame, anger, resentment, revenge. And many more. You can add your points to it. So many things and many more things come from a state of unforgiveness. When we don't want to forgive, I'll never forgive you. Sometimes when my sons fight, they say, I'll never forgive you. I say, don't say that. You must say, I will forgive you. So, to hold on to a thought that I'll never forgive you, lead to all this. It leads to revenge. Sometimes you see children, they'll be, something would have happened in the last week, but they take revenge after 1 or 2 weeks. अरे तूने उस दिन मेरे को किया था ना ऐसे. अरे, but now he was fine with you, but that day he did. So when children do it, looks sweet, but if elders do it, becomes more harmful to the consciousness. And as I told you, forgiveness is the principle which releases all resentments. If you see we'll take some Shastric examples which Maharaj gave, I heard today. In case of Dhruva Maharaj, extreme anger, that was the state of mind he left after Suruchi had insulted him. Lips trembling, body trembling, and in that very, very angry state he went to his mother Suniti. And what did she do? She didn't say, yes, go take revenge, break her teeth. She helped him release that anger. She helped him in the initial stages at how he should not hold on such thoughts for her, and what she said was actually right. You must seek Lord Narayan, so go and do it. So she did the first step. And then he met Narada Muni, who took that concept ahead and gave him the mantra and connected him to Lord Narayan. And after the whole process, he was completely purified. He gave up all anger, he had darshan, and he had no more resentments towards Suruchi or his brother Uttam. He came back and it was all wonderful. And then Prahlad Maharaj, he was fed poison, he was trampled under elephants, he was put in fire, he was thrown from mountain cliffs and so many things. But he never held any resentful thoughts towards Hiranyakashipu. And in fact, when Narsingadev said, ask for some benediction, the only thing he said, please forgive my father. That's the highest level of forgiveness, the highest level of releasing resentment, to forgive a person completely and pray for his well-being. See, many times what happens is we are victims, but we should remember we are victims of some other victim only. That person is not a big trained fellow. He is also a victim who is victimizing us. So what best do we expect from him? So when we come to that state of forgiving, we realize we have to feel compassion and realize that, what is the use of cursing him? And then Maharaj gives the example of Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj, there was no need for him to wait for Durvasa Muni, nothing like that. And it is not that Ambarish Maharaj felt, okay, if Durvasa comes first to me to ask forgiveness, then I will forgive him. He came last to Ambarish after there was no other avenue left. And throughout that one whole year, Ambarish Maharaj was constantly praying and forgiving Durvasa Muni, waiting over there for him. And when he came back, he completely forgave him. Then we also know about Haridas Thakur, when he was being whipped in the marketplaces. While he was being whipped, what was his prayer? Oh Lord, please forgive them. Isn't it? And because of that prayer, that was his consciousness at that time. And that's why Mahaprabhu completely enwrapped his body and took his whips on his own body.
So in this context, I just want to again remind one statement, one point that we discussed a couple of meetings back. I was telling you, if you remember, that Shyamanand Prabhu once, when he asked Maharaj this question, very interesting question actually, if you again think of it in this light, it makes sense. He asked the question, what is the relevance of all these stories in the Bhagavad? Why are so many stories given? Why do we keep reading them? Maharaj said that all these stories are indications of various situations that happen in the life of a sadhaka in his younger stages. But the Bhagavad shows extreme examples of problems that sadhakas faced and how they dealt with it. The same problems are going to come in my life and your life as well, in a minuscule way. If we successfully cross it, as all this Dhruva, Prahlad, everybody caused by forgiving and all these qualities, then only you are going to reach the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where you are going to understand Krishna and relish Krishna. Until then, relishing Krishna does not come. We are stuck with our problems. So we can continue to chant for a long time, we can do everything. But then this kind of behavior, unless adopted, that effect isn't there. You're just stuck. You're not passing that exam basically. You're stuck.
See, I'll give you a simple example. If we sit to chant in the evening and we look at our beads, so long, and so many rounds left, and we feel it is, like a fasi now around my neck, so many things to do and so much, it actually becomes very, very difficult to chant. Have you experienced that? It feels it's just not ending. We sometimes get stuck with one round for half an hour, 20 minutes. The round is not moving ahead. Because we started with that thought that, this chanting is so long. And I'm so stressed out doing it. But if you feel that, I love this chanting, I love my beads, this holy names are giving me shelter. If we chant with that thought, then you see how the chanting progresses rapidly. Achyut Keshav Prabhu can speak a lot about this. I have seen how he chants very nicely. Many devotees over here who are also going for
He travels more than 1 hour to the temple. To chant to the temple morning, he comes to chanting.
Yes, so many of you could actually share your wonderful experiences when you're chanting with a very good positive thought for chanting and how it happens very nicely.
Gurujan Prabhu calls it Sankalpa. He says Sankalpa is a resolution, an internal resolution. So he says that is why the Vedic system says before doing any activity you make a Sankalpa, which is to make your thought process proper. Is a Sankalpam. Sankalpam Brahmanas do that Sankalpam. So the Sankalpam is a particular determined thought process in a positive direction that I will do it properly. That leads to a good action. Otherwise you're stuck. That's the point.
So I'll end with this last story which Maharaj always says about the Saint Francis of Assisi. Many of you must have heard it. So Maharaj says that the Saint Francis of Assisi, he was a Vaishnava. So he was traveling with his disciples and he was instructing them that if you become very perfect in such and such activity, I will not call you perfect. If you do very good sermons and help people, I will not call you perfect. Or so many things he says. If you do this very nicely, and they're all very highly done spiritual activities. But he says, if you do all this, I will not call you perfect. Finally, the disciples say then, Father, please tell us what will make us perfect. So this Saint Francis says, if you are going to somebody's house, but you know that story properly, and you can.
No, Maharaj. I am from Maharaj.
If you are going, if you are traveling somewhere and going, and you reach, I had heard it very long back, so forgive me if I miss out details. And it's a rainy day, and you reach this person's place at night and knock at his door. And if that person opens the door and slams the door on your face, and you say, I forgive you, then I call you perfect. If you still knock the door again, and he opens the door, and he punches you on your face and throws you out, and you still say, I forgive you, brother, then I call you perfect. And he goes ahead to different levels, how you could be humiliated by this person, and without your fault, and you say, I forgive you, brother, I forgive you, brother, then I say you are perfect. This is a very, very highest state of your realization, which is, very out, like it sounds too much out of reach for us, but at least we know what it means to forgive. So we have small problems, so at our level we can forgive those things. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, one question. Regarding forgiveness, I always had this question that the very definition of forgiveness kind of assumes that you have understood that you are right and the other person is wrong or he is guilty. Or is it that, so, are you getting what I'm saying? So
I understood. There are two kinds of forgiveness. One is to forgive ourselves also and to forgive others. Both things happen in our life. We also do so many wrong things. So we have to
yourself also. Otherwise you keep feeling guilty. That is wrong.
We discussed that before, holding on to guilt. So when we have done something wrong, we should ask forgiveness from that Vaishnava or a relative. And after they have forgiven, we should also forgive ourselves. If we continue to hold on the guilt that I did this, some people have that habit.
that is there.
But so both is there. We have to forgive others if they have done us wrong, and we also have to seek forgiveness if we have done
Now,
wrong.
what I was asking was that before we can forgive others of what they have done wrong, even this very fact is questionable whether our understanding of who is at guilt is right or not. Because many times we may
Forgiving doesn't mean taking a superior
I mean, we
position.
may give the benefit of doubt to ourselves and therefore feel that let me forgive that other person. I mean, so before that we have to do our homework to be able to be 200% sure that yes, certainly he is only at fault and therefore let me forgive.
See, at least the negative emotion is there, right? Sometimes what happens-
Actually, I feel there is a problem in this. See, it's not a question of, see, this so-called right, wrong and all, like this material is very difficult to say, honestly. Like, for example, husband and wife are having a quarrel, I mean, and this fellow is right in his place, this fellow is right in his place. So, the question that, he is right, I am wrong, that is not the discussion here. The thing is, you are having an anger or a negative feeling to that person. For that to let go, see, it is not the question of whether you are right. See, in a right manner, being technically right, let us say a husband may have given a lot of emotional trouble to the wife. But the husband only may have been technically right in some way or the other. But the point is that, the pain that the person has felt, the revenge and resentment and all is because of that pain. So there you have to forgive only. So it's not a question of that being technically right and, oh, I was only technically right, you were technically wrong, so I forgive you. That's not the question only over here. You understood, huh? Now, some like going to the Saint Francis of Assisi's example, some stranger comes to your house, you will throw him out only, man. Come on. How do you know? It's like, that Maharaj in Nepal, the dogs were chasing him, he knocks and they take him in. They would have thrown him out also. Technically they were right. How to allow any stranger like that inside? You don't know who he is. But still, from your perspective, what you have undergone, there is a pain that is felt. If you hold on to it, this person gave me pain, this person gave me pain, that you have to let go, for that you have to forgive only. No? You understood? The technical correctness, wrongness, that's a detail actually.
sometimes there are people who have caused us hurt, they're dead and gone, but we still hold on to the experience.
Actually, what I was asking was, is it not right to first of all question our pain itself? Or should we not try to be that transcendental? If we have pain, let us acknowledge we have pain and then let us forgive. My question was that should we not even question our pain? That why should I feel pain in this situation? I mean, is there?
Yes,
is it
yes.
I'm expecting?
Yes.
It was my expectations because of which I'm getting pain. Should we question?
Of course we should do that. Yeah, that also should be done.
So first we should
It was not so much worth holding on so much. Sometimes we hold on so much resentment, and later in life you feel, why did I feel so bad at that time? It was not so much.
So forgiveness may not even be a relevant term there, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, so is that a good self-check?
See, but if this thought keeps coming back again and again to the mind,
Better acknowledge
So
it.
overcome resentment we have to forgive.
so if this thought, if it doesn't trouble you, that's okay. But if it keeps coming back to the mind, and whenever you think about this person, you feel that याद है क्या बोला था? So then that means you're holding on to it. So in such cases, it is better to release it.
Any other question or comment?
What if means there is an outburst of emotion instantly when certain situation, when one is faced with certain situation, but then later on one, immediately there is some reaction, but then after that one thinks that okay, let it go, we will just forgive
Yeah,
and forget.
so you resolve it among both of you, and there's an understanding. So that's fine.
So that instant outburst that happened, will it also cause some effect?
See, that outburst itself is an effect of something. You understand? The outburst is there because of a particular thought pattern which we discussed. A particular belief system, a particular thought pattern. So that leads outburst. Either we are, used to reacting in that way, or a thought pattern forces us to react in that way by shouting, screaming, banging things. Somebody has seen how in their house, they bang things if they are angry. So they continue to bang things when they are angry. So, so if it's a thought pattern, that is the result of the outburst. But after the outburst, if you resolve and correct the situation and, make things okay, that's fine. You don't hold on to it. And toward whom it happened, he also doesn't hold on to it. So you move ahead. You don't hold on your emotions to it.
She has a question.
Sometimes there are some bad experiences of some person. So we forgive that person, like whatever is told to you. But is it correct that we remember that this person is like this? Better stay away from him.
No, to keep a safe distance is okay. Sometimes, we are all practicing devotees, and somebody's association could be causing some trouble. So to keep some safe distance is not wrong.
We become aware about how his nature is or how this person. So better we don't go close to that person because again the offenses might happen.
So we want to stay away so that we don't commit offenses. That's all right, because we cannot be very close to each and every person in the congregation. So if somebody's presence is too much disturbing, or we are not able to attune to his patterns of thought, it is okay to stay away, and but at the same time we should not hold on to he did that to me, he did that to me. That is harmful. But to mentally forgive the person that no problem, I have nothing, and pray for him and give him good vibrations. See, what we think we attract. If our thought pattern is that auto walas are all cheaters, then we will actually attract such auto walas who cheat. But if our thought pattern is that no, there are such good people around, so we attract such good people. So as we are all like we are transmitters, and so our thought pattern attracts that kind of people. So it's not bad to stay away, but what is bad is to hold on to that negative emotion.
Goenka speaks of this law of attraction based on thought process.
Mahaprasad Govind.
There's a question again. Wind up the.
Oh, Shrikant Prabhu has a question. No, he never asked, so I must value him.
And once he had asked about masala long
He was not married that time. So we told him, when you get married, then masala will come in your life.
That time you only give lecture on health and food. उसके बाद आज ही question Go ahead.
Sorry, I like if somebody cheats us in our life, right? So yeah, at that moment, I'm like, should we fight, or we should just be in the forgiveness mode only?
See, if you're getting cheated, there's no problem in,
doing the needful.
Yeah, you have to do the needful. You have to do the needful. You cannot willingly, that the auto fare from a place is 50 rupees, but that person is asking you 300 rupees, and it is wrong. So we are not that kind of a person who will say, okay, I forgive you, take 300. We have to do the needful at that time.
But don't hold it.
Yeah, but the dealing with that person is just at that level. We are not going to hold on to that experience.
When we talk of this thought process, my question was, when we say after coming to ISKCON spiritual life, we say this material world is a place of misery. There are so many positive things to also in spiritual life, but to be too hung about this thing, and specifically if children get this idea, this place is a myth. I remember this because Govind Prabhu gave an example of children who passed out of Gopal's garden. I forgot the whole story, but somehow the children got like, this is a very useless place. Abhi yahan pe kya karna hai? Sab bekar.
It's a negative thought process.
Negative thought. So even in spiritual life, to emphasize too much that this is a place of misery, it's not worth.
That is done only in the initial stages to person who's too happy in material world, उसको तो agitate करने के लिए बोलते हैं. बाद में devotee बनने के बाद हमेशा यही बोलते नहीं रहने का. There are many other things.
And also if a teenager is talking that क्या करना है career बना के, after all this body is going to die, that's not a healthy thought. It's not a healthy thought.
Any other questions?
Apart from our process of chanting and taking association of devotees and reading Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam, is there any other technique or process to come out of this resentment? Because it is, theoretically we can understand, but we have process. The process is very powerful what we have. That can help us come out of it. But is there anything else other than that where we can focus, where it can help us?
We are talking about how to, apart from our spiritual practices, how is there any other subsidiary means how we can give up this resentment? See, I was trying a particular exercise, like, if a particular thought, say about a person or a relative comes to the mind, and then that thought brings out all the negative experiences I had, and that brings out my feelings at that time, how hurt they were. So then in that mental level, I correct the feeling that no, now it is over. It was in the past, and I now need to move ahead in life, and I need to forgive. And then I feel very positive about this person. I see his good qualities, and I see what all good things they did for me. And then I try to feel that no, I don't want to hold on to anything negative about this person. He is good, and he is also part and parcel of Krishna. And whatever happened was, I was also party to that, and I completely forgive this person. And in my I correct my mental image by thinking that now he is a very good he or she is a very wonderful person, a Vaishnava, and I have very good dealings with this person. So what we keep thinking in the mental level, it manifests in the gross level.
See, Maharaj was once telling that among the 26 qualities of Vaishnava, the key one is surrendering to Krishna. But there are several others. Like a Vaishnava is forgiving, that's one of the qualities. Now what happens is, these qualities which are there, it is it's like, you're in a loop. Only if you reach a particular amount of, bhakti yoga status, you are going to manifest these qualities automatically, like forgiving and all that. But at a sadhaka stage, we begin the process of surrendering to Krishna. But then, consciously we have to, Maharaj says this, consciously we have to look at the other qualities and try to develop them. You cannot say that just by surrendering to Krishna automatically I am going to develop the other qualities. वो होगा, लेकिन वो कब होगा मालूम नहीं. तब तक वहाँ पहुँचेगा कि वो भी मालूम नहीं. बीच में अपना abort हो सकते हैं भक्ति. We can give up. So the point is, that is why we are using other. So forgiveness as such is a Vaishnava principle only. But then as I was telling you, Bhakti Yoga is the topmost. But whether it is Ashtanga Yoga, whether it is Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, these things are all, if you see, subsets of that only. So in Karma Yoga, for example, we talk about doing things for Krishna. In Jnana Yoga, these things actually come. You analyze technically and see what kind of things are not to be there in your system and you take it out. It is Jnana Yoga actually. It is at the level of mind you are doing it. But it is helpful. It is an aid. Because you have not reached that level of surrender of bhakti that the other qualities are going to honor. So by doing it extraneously, you benefit. Or like Ashtanga Yoga, we adopt principles like somebody does yoga, pranayama, everybody does, even great sannyas, they do this. Why they do that? Because that helps them, first of all, in the body also it helps them in their mind, it helps them, maintain a sattva guna, whatever, so they take those kind of practices. So it's not separate from bhakti. It's all a part of bhakti only, because ultimately bhakti yoga comprises of everything. So the thing is, this thing that, just chant Hare Krishna, and everything will automatically become alright. It doesn't really, because other things, these kind of things like forgiveness have to be addressed only. If you don't do that, then we see around, what happens actually. Devotees, they chant Hare Krishna, everything is there, but there are some places where your kata is stuck basically. You're stuck somewhere. So you just don't go ahead.
Guruji, I think one part of this question was, so what are the other techniques which we can do, by which we can
Of course, today we are mainly talking about, analyzing the negative faults, negative kind of thought processes, giving it up analytically, and, giving up resentment by practicing the method of forgiveness. So that's very briefly she spoke actually. I mean, there could be more talks on it. Yeah.
See our Goswami's lectures and whatever is there, it is mainly focusing on bhakti and rejecting jnana and karma and all other processes. Whether we are taking a shortcut of acquiring these skills or knowledge, or whether we have to go through the process given by the Goswamis, or whether we can take this, because this particular subject I heard from one of my colleagues who was practicing, was part of my Mahesh Yogi's system.
Yeah.
He was practicing for 30 years. He used to say very strong statement that whatever you think, that will manifest. This is there, and what they do is.
No, it is not there. It is a Vedic truth.
Yeah, it is. But in their.
They emphasize only on
they
that.
emphasize a lot on that. And they hammer on that. In your mind, somehow you have to come out of negative thoughts so that you are positive and the things will happen.
Yeah.
Even in your life, if you want to achieve something, you just focus on that. Like meditate on that, that will manifest. That is how they. So.
We are not taking a shortcut. See, there was this meeting of councillors with Radhanath Swami just before Yatra. Shamanandpura and Rajsham Prabhu, both of them are asking Maharaj same question. They are asking that Maharaj, we have started projects like Ganga Jamuna Saraswati here. What is Ganga Jamuna Saraswati project? Chowbade started. It's a project of preaching in villages. I come to your question. It's all connected. Ganga means, providing water for agriculture and things like that. Yamuna means taking care of, health, education, something, and Saraswati means spiritual. There are three things. That means the point is, preaching to villages in India means taking care of their water problem, agriculture problem, giving them education. Education is spiritual, basic material education also, and along with that, education about farming, giving them proper health facilities so that they are healthy, and then giving them spiritual thing. So Maharaj preaching launch kiya. So Shamanand and Rajsham were asking these questions. They are asking questions to Maharaj about, are we not, people, other centers, sometimes they ask us, ये Prabhupada का ऐसे कुछ पता ही नहीं था, or whatever, they felt that, isn't it that, we should just do bhakti, just tell everybody, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy, Prabhu. बाकी कुछ बोलना ही नहीं है अभी इसमें. Just chant Hare Krishna, that's all. Everything will become alright automatically. Isn't it like that? They were asking these questions to Maharaj. So Maharaj said 2-3 things. First he said, as far as Prabhupada is concerned, everybody has their idea of Prabhupada. And I am very clear about what Prabhupada stands for. Prabhupada said, I also have my own idea about actually what Prabhupada stands for. And he gave quotations also. For example, he was telling about, how, who was another Prabhu? Some sannyasi was there, Devamrit Swami. He was there with Maharaj at that time. So he was telling that Prabhupada had told him, or wherever he was sitting once, that we should actually go village to village and ensure that the villages of, the villages of India stay intact and they practice.
I wish I could go to each and every village and teach the farmers how to farm in a
Krishna conscious way of
how to farm in a Krishna conscious way, correct. So farm Krishna conscious way including solving a water problem, includes education, includes taking care of health, includes everything. So Maharaj in a nutshell, he said, when the goal is bhakti, the things that you are doing is also bhakti only. It is not that these are the same. This is the main thing against, even when Chowpatty started, for example, the project of Bhaktivedanta Hospital or anything, and Food for Life. When the goal is Krishna consciousness, what are you actually looking for? Krishna consciousness. Then what you are doing in that direction is Krishna consciousness. I am just summarizing that. I'll have to see that whole thing. It is there maybe in Master Mobile also. You can tell more on that question. But coming back to your point over here, it is very important. Because many times what happens now, we have a very short-sighted view of what is Krishna consciousness. And we think that, this is only Krishna consciousness. It is not like that. Krishna consciousness is much more broader. So that's what I'm saying. Even when you say Goswamis and all that, see, that's why, we are going back even to topics like, for example, when you're talking about forgiveness, when we're talking about, not having these kind of mental blocks, if you see their lifestyle, you see these behavioral patterns. You don't see that they held on to grudges. They were also tortured by so many people in so many ways. No grudge at all. Haridas Thakur and other Goswamis, everybody had their own challenge. They all went through. But they were living in the world.
That they were spontaneously practicing.
So the point is, they were practicing spontaneously. Because they were already at that level of bhakti, forgiving, everything was natural for them. That is why I am coming again to the point that, for us, surrendering to Krishna is going to give us these qualities. But again the question is, if you see in another perspective, surrendering to Krishna includes these things. How can you say that, I am surrendering to Krishna, but my mother-in-law said something on the day of my marriage, I am not going to forgive her till my death. What kind of Vaishnava is this? That means I have not understood Vaishnavism only, no? First thing you have to forgive, you cannot hold on, it's a material thing. That's going to pose an impediment on your chanting. You're going to chant, you're going to think about that event, only that person. So we are not going to progress only, no? And we will never achieve that stage. So we are stuck in that loop. So that is why these things are all for a devotee. That's why if you see in the Bhagavad also, why in the Bhagavad Jnana Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, everything is mentioned. Is the Bhagavatam talking only about, Krishna, the pure Vraja Bhakti from the first canto? It is not. Third canto talks about Sankhya Yoga. The fourth, fifth canto talks about detachment from the material world in terms of Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat was that, that kind of a type of a person who was like, not taking anything around him. People are spitting on him, Rishabhadev. People are spitting, passing foul air on his face, but he is remaining, he is rejecting those external stimulus to his system. So these are all technically, if you go into it, it is not pure bhakti. It's not the Vraja Bhakti that the Goswami, that is the goal. But the Bhagavad itself talks about it. Because without these things, you're not going to get. So please remember, these are not something external to the Bhagavad process also. They are there in the Bhagavad process. But sometimes what happens is, just because we know what is the highest practice or something, we think just we latch on to that. But we are unable to latch on to that. Because that's why I was saying that the stories of the Bhagavad, we have not, in our life when such challenges came, we have not dealt with them properly. So how are we going to go ahead at all in the first place in Bhakti? That's the question. Correct, man?
And these resentments that we are talking about is not just with relatives and past like that. Many devotees also hold it for each other. We may come and say Hari Bol and smile and say, but in our heart we know that, this is how he had insulted me or this is what he had dealt with me.
I just want to add one small thing in respect to whatever the discussion was. That many a times we will see that as we are trying to fine tune our bhakti when our goal is clear, these points may come up that okay, what now we are trying to focus on is similar to what the other organization was focusing on. So yet we should very clearly, I'm just adding one point. So yet we should always very clearly understand that how we are still different in the sense that the goal is very clear.
Yes, the goal is to chant.
It is utility is the principal process going on here. Utility is the
utility is the
principal. Confused about
so when Maharshi, Yogi or someone, they are talking about these things, that is their Sanskrit, they may be using it for another goal. They may want impersonal liberation. They are using this as a tool. We want Krishna, Vraja Bhakti. But for us also, this is tool only. हमको tool only use करना पड़ेगा. That's why we were saying that, if the teeth is unclean, you have to brush only. By chanting Hare Krishna, the teeth are not going to become clean. You have to take that process for that particular thing.
For us, it is in the utility is the principal tool. Yes. Therefore, we should always remember what is primary and what is secondary. Whenever there are conflicts or whenever we are not clear about what is to be sacrificed for what.
Maharaj, I remember one sentence of Maharaj where he said that when we have grudge against someone, it is a great opportunity to advance because we have the opportunity to pray for that person.
Yes, that's the highest level of forgiveness.
To advance in Krishna consciousness. What? Because we have the opportunity to pray for that person.
Pray for what?
Pray for that person's welfare. Like Haridas Thakur was praying for the people who are whacking him. Oh Krishna, forgive them. Jesus Christ is praying, forgive them.
Compassion. They know not what they are doing.
And she has last question.
अगर किसी डिवोटी के साथ हमारा कोई रिलेशन हुआ मतलब कोई प्रॉब्लम हुआ या झगड़ा हुआ कोई झगड़ा भी किसी हुआ एंड इन केस वी आर थिंकिंग कि हाँ हमको उसको फॉरगिव करना बट दैट डिवोटी he is not ready to forgive and again if we forgive and we are trying to talk we are saying he is not responding.
See, you have done your part. You have asked sincerely, you have asked for forgiveness. So if he is not forgiving, that's between him and Krishna.
But how much time?
Because if he is a Vaishnava, he also has to forgive, right? We can ask forgiveness, and you are sincerely asking it. I heard this question once that if we ask for forgiveness, but that person is not forgiving, then you are not wrong you are not held responsible in that.
But in that case, अगर ऐसा कोई time है next time he is coming अपने सामने आ रहा है then what should we do?
You behave normal.
But he is not ready to talk. He is not ready to reply anything.
You continue to say Hari Bol, smile, and continue as normal as you are. Because you have already asked forgiveness. Sincerely, and you mean it. It's not that it was a lip service. You meant it. And if that person doesn't want to forgive and wants to go ahead, then that's serious for that person, not for you.
The second part of the meeting, Yatra discussion, is Cancel.
Postponed proposition. Cancel.
Postponed until further notice.
This topic
Coming
is
with you in car.
Continue next time also.
second part is
I'll later talk to people and see what do they feel about
Only
it.
if you all are, only if you all are not too bored already.
We can do polling now only. We can do polling now only.
That will become unnecessarily an emotional push.